That's us live. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a fair while since I've been live, and that's why I've got emotional support. I'm usually the emotional support Scorpio, but today we're swapping roles, aren't we? So hi Marion, and thank you for joining me. How are you?
You're welcome. I am all right. I am your emotional support Taurus.
An emotional support Taurus, what does that involve? Just basically kicking the F out of anyone that annoy me?
Pretty much. Pretty much. And also bringing you really nice food or recommending really good places to eat and making sure you're eating enough.
Amazing. See, actually, speaking of that, I know this is going to sound very underwhelming, right? But I honestly can't talk this up enough. I got the most amazing salad and sandwich today. Now, I'm no a salad person, Marion.
Right.
I wouldn't pay for salad. Lettuce is crunchy water. I'm no interested in that kind of shit. But this was beautiful. It's the first time I've ever eaten a salad and thought I could come into this. It was just on the side of the sandwich. But I could have come in and just ordered that salad and thoroughly enjoyed it.
So was it the dressing? What was it that made it so amazing?
I think it was a combination of the dressing, all the kind of it was like, I think it was rocket, and there was like kind of a just different veg through it, and it was all beautiful and fresh. And I think they used like a kind of a Sandy thinks it was like a sesame seed oil or something over it, and there was like wee sesame seeds as well. So it was just delicious, and the sandwich was beautiful as well. It was like a roasted chicken and avocado and like salad and tomato and all sorts of lovely stuff. So sorry, you're Taurus and I'm a Taurus rising, so I'm just making it both starving.
But there is, I do remember I'm not particularly political, and we'll not really get into it, but I remember, let's see, like in the run up to the last general election, like the then Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who is a Taurus, he got asked what his favourite food was. Remember, in the newspapers really ran with that, and because he said that his favourite food was a sandwich. And the news and everything really ripped into him. They were like, he's like a multi-millionaire, and how can he possibly say a sandwich? And I was like, I totally believe him. That's probably the only honest thing he said, because it's like the love that a Taurus has for a sandwich. Do not underestimate this. It's the versatility. It's like, you can eat it at any time. It's like, depending on the filling, you can have it breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It is the versatility. It is you can't really compare it.
It was so good. This was in the West End of Glasgow. We went over there because there's a wee witchy shop over there that I wanted to go to. Salem Gift Shop, it's called.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, that's it. And then the cafe was just across the road from it.
Was it really tiny, and it had the counter, and then the seats were like an L shape? I've been in there.
Oh yeah, aye, it's like a wee independent cafe. Yeah.
Yes. I've been in there. Their stuff is incredible.
Yeah, isn't it? That's funny. It's nice talking to someone who's actually from Glasgow for a change. I love all of my audience, and I love the fact that this reaches to so many people. But it's actually nice talking to someone who can be like, "Oh, I have been there. That's nice, isn't it?"
Up the Partick Main Street. I've been there. I know where that.
Aye. Oh, funny.
It's lovely. But do you know where else is lovely? Right, see, in Partick, see, as you're coming out of the train station, right?
Yeah.
When you come out of the train station, you go on, is it Dumbarton Road? Well, the main street anyway, right? So you go left to go to Zalem's, right? But then see, if you go the other way, there's like a cafe, like independent place in the corner.
Okay.
And Sarah, Tarot by Peachy, and we went there one day, and I get a toasted croissant with cheese and like ham and a bone gammon.
Oh, okay, very nice.
I swear to God, it was like nectar. It was like the nectar of the gods. So it
Wow.
was, and the two A's were actually doing like the wee kind of a because she's a Taurus moon.
Oh, really? And I'm a Taurus rising. Between the 3 years, we've got a full set.
Exactly.
How good is that? Right, next time you go to that cafe, I want a croissant too. I'm coming.
Right, okay,
Invite me
right,
back
absolutely. Mate date, that is us. It'll be a
down.
Taurus conference.
I should say hi to people. Got a few people here. So the lovely Deanne is here and has been listening to us talking about sandwiches and is now very, very hungry, it looks like. So sorry, Deanne, but it's lovely to see you. Roscoe's here. Hi, Roscoe. And Marita from Madame Maru's House of Cards.
Hello.
She can't stay, but I posted your link in my tarot pages. I want to thank you for such a timely deck. So there you go. So,
Thank you so much.
So we've not even mentioned it yet, Marion, but why don't you tell everyone what you've been up to and tell us where we can support you?
Right now, my legs. It's like, I'm like that. I'm like Bambi on ice. Okay, so a couple of hours ago, I launched the Grief Journey Oracle on Kickstarter. And I'm kind of a, oh yeah, dither. I'm like, oh my God, did we actually get to this stage? And at last check, it's doing really well. So thank you to everybody who is supporting it. It's incredible. It's just so it's mind blowing, to be honest. You know, it really is. And the work, you know, when people talk about when they have a Kickstarter, and you know, people maybe ask them, look, what would you do? You know, it's like, what would you suggest to people who are thinking about doing it? And you know, a lot of people are like, don't. And it's kind of a that it is such a it's such a huge task, you know, and there's so much wrapped up in it. The actual creation process for a start, um, and then you get to the actual Kickstarter part, and then you know it's so funny. Like just as a wee aside, it's like a couple of like, friends in the community who have been so encouraging and so amazing. And one of them in particular said to me yesterday, you know, darling, I was like, what is it? And they were like, it's so amazingly brave what you've done. And I'm like, but you've been really supportive. Yeah, I know, but the thing is, I'm not brave enough to do that. But what you're doing is really brave. And I'm like, so now you fucking tell me, do you know what I mean? It's like they've got, oh, I'm Marion, you do that. Oh, definitely, you can do that. You can pull this off. And then it's like when I'm just about to like, hit the button, like 24 hours for hitting the button to launch, it's like they're like, oh, I'm not brave enough to do that, but well done, you. And you're like, I thought you had my back. It's like it's like, oh, I'd have got my back, but it's like just you go, you go. Pushed you right out onto the ledge. Yes, it was neat. It was like they literally pushed me off the edge.
They're living vicariously through you.
That's what it is. That's basically what it is. And it's one of my besties say she's American and she says vicariously. It's funny. I love her to bits. But yeah, so we've launched that. There was a Instagram live where me and Terry, the incredible artist who's created this along with me, the two of us done a live on Instagram and it was fun. It was Roscoe saying Ascension, Release, Detach and Undo are my initial favourites. They're they're all so incredible. You know, it's like, and it doesn't even matter, you know, how many times I see these images, you know, it's just they take your breath away.
Yeah, they will. I've got a feeling as well that it's going to be a whole new experience for people when they actually get the deck in their hands, because it's all well like kind of looking at it online or like, but see when you actually have that, because I'm thinking from my own point of view, like I'm going to be looking through this and like finding my dad. Do you know what I mean? Like finding the card that means my dad or my gran, or and I imagine we'll all be doing that. And to me, that's something that you need to have that moment with it. You need to do that. It's not a thing for just scroll. But I'll speak for myself. For me, it's not a thing to do just like kind of watching a walkthrough or scrolling through on
No,
on Insta. So
no.
I think it's going to become even more meaningful to people when they actually get the deck. Do you know what I mean? So
It's,
sorry, let me go.
no, I'm just totally agreeing with you, and it's like that's really the intention behind the deck, it's yes, it was born out of my personal grief, um, the loss of my dad, and then like the first kind of a like major loss, like really close loss in my life was my sister who passed away, and it was very sudden and very like unexpected. And that was when I was 24 and she was 22. And I think that really we all have our own personal relationship with grief. And it usually, when we think about it, we think about, losing people in our lives. But it's such a diverse and nuanced subject matter, and which is what we've discovered, going through the cards, because it's like, well, how do you begin something like this? It's all well and good having the initial idea and saying, well, I really needed a card deck to help me. And it was like, and the reason I needed a card deck was because my dad passed in November 2020. So the way the world was then, the tried and tested or understood methods of coping, like gathering with friends, gathering with family, that physical support of other humans, it just wasn't possible because the way the world was at that time. So
Yeah.
it was incredibly isolating. So my default setting was, well, I'll go to a deck of cards.
Yeah.
And whilst the tarot was there for so many different things, I needed something more. I needed something that wasn't tarot.
Mhm.
And when I looked, like online, and don't get me wrong, there is incredible decks out there like that will help you with ancestral work, or like kind of a that I found like quite a lot of like affirmation decks, to help you, oh, here's a daily affirmation to help you with grief or loss or etc. But it was quite superficial. I found, for me, it was like, the kind of it just felt like a box of sympathy cards.
Yeah.
It was quite generic, and I was like, that just isn't what I'm looking for. So, the idea kind of not the idea, but it just kind of left me, and I obviously moved on with the different things, and the all the things you need to do, and etc. But obviously, in my subconscious, it never really left me.
Mhm.
And it was like a kind of like an alchemical process where, people were saying to me, "Oh, Marion, when are you going to like do something or create something or do a deck or?" And I'm like, "No, no me. No, no, no me. No, 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 no me." And the idea came to me, the concept, and I was like, "Well," the thing was, it was like, if and this was conversations that I had with myself. So it
Yeah.
was like, if I was ever going to do a deck, it had to be unique, because there's so many decks out there already that I didn't just want to add something for the sake of adding something, you know, it had to mean something.
Yeah.
And me having a very challenging Saturn placement in my chart, I don't do easy things. You know, I don't do things easily. If somebody says to me, you know, hands me something on a plate, I don't trust it.
Right.
You know, and it was really like, well, let's do a deck about that, because very quickly, you know, I understood that there's a reason why there's none, because people just will not touch it.
Yeah.
You know, because it is difficult, because it's particularly in the West where it's almost like a taboo topic.
Yeah.
It's one of the things, and it's like, well, no, we don't talk about that. You know, it's something that happens, and then we're sad for a week or two, and then there's the, you know, the kind of a funeral or whatever, and then that's it done, and then we're back to normal, and we just move on with life, and that's fine, and we just get caught up in everyday life again. And it's in having experienced, you know, particularly at quite a young age, you know, in my early 20s, you know, everybody just kind of moved on, and it was like, no, hold on, because my world is crumbled round about me.
Mhm.
You know, and it's like, well, why has the world not stopped? Because mine has, you know, and it's like, so all of these different experiences, just I poured it into the deck, you know, I poured it
Yeah.
into it, and then there was other experiences from people in my life, or experiences that clients had, or just things that just came to me, you know. And it's like, you know, one of the cards was, where is it? It's there. It's like the retirement card, you know.
Mhm.
Let's see if I
Yep.
can. So it's like, there we go. So it's like the retirement card, you know, because it's like I worked in criminal justice, and I worked with a lot of police officers. And when they retired, they were still relatively young, you know, because police officers, it's like they do their 30 years and then they
Mhm.
retire. So if they've started when they're, let's say, 20, then they retire when they're 50. And that's
Yeah.
still, you know, relatively young.
Um,
And they're like, well, what do I do? You know, they've had this incredibly active job, this incredibly, you know, like kind of a adrenaline inducing job. And then they're like, well, all of a sudden it's like, right, there you go, there's your pension, cheerio, off you go, off to pasture. And there's not really any kind of support for that, like for retiring in general, you know,
mhm.
leaving a career or a profession that you have lived and breathed.
Yeah.
Um, and it does, and I found that myself, even though I left like the criminal justice service willingly, I still went through a period of grieving.
Mhm.
And I didn't initially know what it was that was wrong with me. And then it dawned on me, and I was like, I'm grieving, even though I'm happy with the choices that I made. There's still a bit of me that is grieving who I was, or, you
Yeah.
know, how I defined myself. You know, it was like, oh, hiya, I'm Marion, and I am blah, 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 my job description, you know. So there was this kind of a period of readjustment, and like, well, how do I define myself personally? Who am I now? Because
Yeah.
I'm not married there, and I'm not, you know, what's going on. So there's a whole load of nuance where
Definitely. There are, you're right, there's so many different types of, it's not just about when someone close to you passes away.
no,
That in and of itself, like, obviously you're talking about how it's a different process for everyone. Even to one person, like, the process will be different for you, or it could be different for you, each time you go through that kind of loss. Do you know what I mean? So the grieving process won't be the same as when you lose one person to when you lose another. You talked about retirement. I think you and Terry might have been talking about this, but another kind of like Terry was obviously pregnant when she was painting the deck, when she painted most of the images. When I don't know much about Terry, so but I don't know if this was her first child, but it was, right. So that's a big change, going from not being a parent to being a parent. Like, that's a total overhaul of or it can be a total overhaul of your identity. So that can almost be that kind of process as well. I appreciate it's not really for me to talk about. I'm not going to be getting pregnant anytime soon or anything, but
Well, you never know.
You never know. No, Marion, listen, my figure's bad enough as it is. I'm not losing it by having a baby.
Listen, there's more chance of you having one than me, let me assure you. So me and my hostile bits and bobs. That's all.
Oh gosh. Oh dear.
Anyway, moving on. See what I mean? I'm just like, I remember like a guy that I worked with, he was like, Marion, I love working with you. And I'm like, why, Andrew? And he's like, because it's like playing conversational Russian roulette. You just never know what's going to come out of your mouth.
So fucking true, by the way. That is so true, and I've never thought about putting it into those particular words, but it is, because I never know what you're going to say either. Either I do.
Neither do I. I don't either. There's no filter.
Oh dear. Oh, can't take you anywhere.
No, you can't. You really cannot. So yeah, I mean, that's why, and it's one of the things that I actually talk about in the guidebook, whereby, and I specifically use that example. Like you can be incredibly happy for the direction that your life is going in. And it's something that you've chosen to do, and it's something that you're just like, you're excited for. But at the same time, it's like that transition from one stage of life to another stage of life, and it's incredibly challenging at times, and I think sometimes it can be even more difficult if you're moving from a state of existence into another state, like for instance, like having a child, or maybe getting married, or like making an emotional commitment with somebody to move in and live together with somebody. It's like, yes, you're really happy about it, but I think there should always be like an acknowledgement of who you were before, or the state of existence that you had previously. Because there can be a bit of like sadness and ultimately grief.
Yeah.
So it's but that, and I think, like, kind of everybody around about you'll be like, oh, congratulations, oh, that's amazing, and you're like, oh, thanks so much, and then it's like, but a part of you's like, I really miss like being alone in my flat and sitting in my sofa with my blanket and watching whatever the hell I want and eating whatever the hell I want without judgment. If I want to eat cheese and onion crisps with vanilla ice cream, then I can. Know that I do that. Do not judge. Do not judge until you try it. Right?
That's fair enough. I won't, but still.
It's the whole sweet savoury thing. There's something.
I want to say a quick hi to the others that have joined us just quickly. So Midnight Unicorn, hi there. Kiki Law, and Beth popped in, and so did the very lovely Naomi, who I know has been following this project as well, because I remember Naomi was talking about it the first time I spoke about it. So, and am I going to make you anxious if I keep, because I've got the Kickstarter on my other screen, so I can see like as it updates and stuff, but I don't want to keep mentioning it to you if I'm just going to have you on edge, so I can just like close it down if you want, because I'm.
No, tell
So
me.
you're currently at 83 backers. You've gone just above £4,000, £4,000. So another couple of £100 and you'll be over halfway there. So you will. So that's just outstanding. So that's amazing. It's only been live for a couple of hours. And I didn't say this at the start, but I wanted to. So as Marion has already said, she's just launched this Kickstarter. It's the first time she's done it. You can see here, you know, how up to high go she is. She right after that, she went live on Instagram with the artist Terry. And yet she's still here with me because this is the first time I've been live in a while, just with everything that's been going on. And Marion still wanted to be here to support me. So that's just a testament to how amazing Marion is. So
stop it.
I've put the link to the Kickstarter. I've pinned it in the comments, folks. So, and it's in the description of the video as well for anyone who's watching this back. Go and check it out. There's a wee video on there where you can see some of the images and you can read all about the deck. Check it out and consider backing it because there's very few decks, like Marion says, that will approach this subject, and even fewer that do it in as beautiful a way as what Marion and Terry have managed to achieve. So definitely check it out, consider backing it. I've already backed it. It's funny, this is what I said in the in your Instagram live. So I was like hovering over, I kept refreshing Kickstarter at like 2 minutes to 7. I was like sitting with my phone ready, and then I got the notification from Kickstarter. I was like, right, that's it. So refreshes it, and of course it goes in and goes to back it, and you need to I needed to put in my card details and stuff because it wasn't a PayPal thing. It just takes a particular way of paying. By the time I had done that, now I'm talking a minute, maybe less, it already had 15 backers. So it jumped from 1 backer when I first pressed the button to 15. So it did. So it actually refreshed itself and kicked me out of what I was trying to do. So I don't know what number of backer I am, but I'm in there and I'm one of the first, say, 20. But that's how amazing this deck is, that so many people have gone in and backed it in the first mere seconds.
Because there's a thing, right? Because see if you're backer number 16, there is a surprise because we have got a because see thinking like picking how many early birds to have. You know, there's always going to be a cut-off. And how I did it was it was basically, it was like I get a Major Arcana card, I get a Major Arcana deck, and I pulled card 15.
Oh.
And that was how I decided how many early birds to do.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's quite cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to go and check and see what number it was because I'm actually not sure.
Okay.
Kickstarter. Don't know if it's going to tell me. I'll find out later because I'm quite curious. But yeah,
if you're back to number 16, there will be a something, a special. Not just because it could be you. We had decided because like it's like kind of like coming fourth in a Olympic final. Do you know what I mean? It's like you miss out. So me and Terry, we've got a wee special surprise for the backer 16 because it's the shittiest number to have, really. So it is. So
I know what you mean. That's really sweet of you to do that though.
We have and we've got like we kind of like things like that planned, throughout the campaign, because it's like, we're just so appreciative of the support. The support that we've had has just been, it's been unbelievable. There's people who have reached out to me who are just like mega stars in our community, and basically they were like, right, what can I do to help you? How can I help you? And I'm just like, what? And did are you lost? Why have you DM me? It's like, are you lost? And they've just been like, no, we just really want to help you. And I'm just like, thank you. It's really humbling, for anybody, to help and like to offer their support, and it's just been it's just a whole thing.
That is. That's amazing.
That's it.
Oh,
Annoying.
okay. You've got the link, folks, and it's pinned, so you'll be able to see it there. So anyone who's here, anyone who's just coming in, I can see Alicia Jade has popped in and said congratulations on the new achievement. Well done, well deserved for a beautiful soul.
Oh, thank you.
So there you go. That's really sweet.
That's lovely.
Naomi says, I'm going through a long-term grief journey and really feel this deck would be beneficial to me. Congratulations, Marion.
Thank you, Naomi. Thank you.
That's amazing as well.
Your support's meant so much, and when you pop in my wee random Instagram lives as well, when I have the when I'm procrastinating in my day-to-day work, when I should be doing things like answering emails and content, and it's like I'll sit here at my desk and I'll be like, I can't be bothered. I'll just go on an Instagram live and have a blather with folks, see who's about and pull cards and whatnot. That's what I tend to do.
I always really enjoy your lives. I think they're really good, and I usually end up getting a wee card pull, so it's nice.
It's just a bit of fun, that I have with people, and it's just like my kind of a way. I'll usually do it. I try to do it at like lunchtime, so that like people who are like maybe who work from home, like in a muggle job, etc., they can come and tune in and a wee bit of fun.
Yeah. Naomi says, when I tried to go live with you, she done the thing that your mum did earlier on and tried to join us. It's really it's so easy done though, because it comes up right away and is like asked to join this live, and I'm always like, shit, no. You know what I mean? You're jumping onto these random lives that we got hundreds of people watching them.
No. I did actually give my mum a call when I came off the Instagram live, and she was like, I could hardly hear Terry. I'm like, what? She's like, well, I mean, you could have said to speak up. I'm like, Mum, she was shy. I know, but I mean, And I'm just like, wow.
That's a typical mum thing to say, isn't it?
And a Scorpio. A Scorpio mum. It's like...
Yeah, well, I'm a Scorpio and I managed to hear Terry just fine.
I know, but you're different. You're no a Scorpio mother, neither you. The whole thing.
So tell me, what else has been? So I've actually been meaning to ask you this question. I've just been meaning to message you and ask this question.
Is it safe for people?
Because I'm quite, and it's definitely like it's not NSFW or anything. It's definitely safe to ask, but it's just whether or not you want to talk about it. Because it's to do with astrology and it's to do with something big that's coming up. So I've noticed that Pluto's moving into Aquarius.
Yes.
And I feel as though I'm feeling it already. See, particularly, was it yesterday? Like, see, just yesterday felt like, and obviously the elections in the US has been the biggest thing, right? But there's been other wee things, like just unrelated to each other. So in fact, did I tell you this, Marion? Have I spoken to you about this already? No. So in my wee residence group, right?
Face.
You what, sorry?
This is my listening concentrate. This is my active listening face.
So in my residence group chat, people have been, there's bin wars, right? People are going up to high door about the bins.
And uranium.
Yeah, just in my kind of a building.
Right.
I'm talking like people getting upset, people leaving group chats. I'm talking people being all obnoxious about things. Like, seriously, like everything's been blown out of proportion and everybody wants to fight with each other. Completely separately to that, I went onto Facebook into a, I think it's like Bishop Briggs Lindsay and somewhere Facebook group where just like kind of people post things like, oh, there's a lost dog, or you know, that kind of thing. It was like someone had went in and said something like, oh, is anyone from Better Off Briggs on here? Or something like that. It was like a pure passive-aggressive comment towards people from Bishop Briggs in a Bishop Briggs Facebook group. So I was just like, oh my God, everyone's like at each other's throats. And I'm like, I know that it's Pluto. Is it Pluto? That is Pluto. It's Pluto that's moved into Aquarius. And I know that's going to be the case until like, what, 2043? So we've got a wee while to go. And that's, am I right in thinking that's like people are going to start being more rebellious? And well, you tell me, you're the expert. I know nothing.
So the fact that yesterday in particular, okay, so this aggression that you're talking about, this kind of a let to pick a fight, essentially, that is more Mars moving into Leo.
Right.
So Mars moved into Leo yesterday.
Right.
And so that's the kind of a, I would suggest that's the fighting bit, the kind of a quick tempered thing, you know.
Yeah.
Pluto moving into Aquarius, because it's an outer planet, because it's the furthest away planet. Their transits obviously are much slower. Do you want some Martian energy? Aye. It's very much like that kind of come ahead then. Moon then. Moon.
Right. Yeah.
Moon. That's Mars and Leo, because
Right.
Mars is the Mars is the ruler of Aries. It's also the traditional ruler of Scorpio.
Scorpio, yeah.
So it's that very like kind of a quick to anger. And just as quick to disperse as well. But the trouble that it causes whilst it's angry can be long lasting. The fact that it's in Leo. So Leo is very much, Leo likes to be center stage. Leo likes to, just show up and be their fabulous selves. It's very much like the kind of a sign that represents, let's say, for instance, royalty or people in charge. That kind of thing. Particularly if you wanted to talk about what happened yesterday, the successful and winning candidate, that's their placement. They have Mars and Leo.
Okay.
In fact, both candidates do.
Right.
So what we say is when a planet returns to a particular sign, which is the same in your birth chart, the individual is having a planetary return.
Right. Okay.
Yesterday, both of those individuals began their Mars return.
Right. Okay, I've got you.
So it's like that energy for people. It's very much, it's like putting a spotlight on that part of their chart. So whatever part of their chart, that sign rules, if you like. In the planets, it's highlighting parts of yourself. So it's almost like kind of it's like putting a spotlight on you. And then people going to see that. It's going to be emphasised a lot more, that part of your personality. Now, there is loads of other placements and loads of other individual parts of each of their astrologies, you know, and some of it you really couldn't make up.
Right.
But with regards to what you were saying, that's probably the more likely thing. Particularly, see if anybody was threatening to set other people's bins on fire.
No,
Right. No,
probably not.
right, okay.
No, not as bad as that.
But you know, if they were, you know, or if it was like really like a really fiery conversation, you know, it was
Yeah.
like I mean, talking about Facebook groups, I admin a Facebook group and it's got like over 10,500 people in it. You know, I did not have anything to do with building that or creating that. Basically, it was like one of my close friends inherited the group, and there's like a wee kind of cohort is, and she was like, "Look, do you want to help me?" And we're like, "Are you sure?" And it was this person who had put the most ridiculous comment in the group.
Right.
And it was a bit kind of it was about the Empress, and it was a bit one of those kind of well, you can only really understand the Empress if you've had actual physical children, and the Empress was considered a loose woman and was impregnated by the magician. And I'm like, really? So I was like, ladies,
Major gatekeeper vibes.
I was like, ladies, can I deal with her? And my friend is like, oh, I thought you would be up for that. So I'm like, right. So the response that I got from her was incredibly rude, so rude.
Yeah.
And it was like, and I took a screenshot of it, obviously, because that's just what you do. And she didn't know who I was. She didn't know I was an admin or anything, because I've never even commented in this group.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going on and on, and she was like, and I had said something about like, thanks for that interesting perspective of the card. I find it quite I don't find it particularly helpful, you know, in this day and age to refer to a woman as a loose woman. And then it's like, you know, your attitude towards the pregnancy aspect is very othering. And the whole point of the tarot is that it evolved as humans, as we evolve as people.
Yeah.
And so she was like, blah, 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 blah. I don't agree with you. And then she said, in the last paragraph was, well, I mean, obviously, unless you're woke, so you can just do one by, right? Right. I clearly did not know who I was. And I replied back and I was like, unfortunately, it would appear that in this case and under these circumstances, the shoe is in the other foot with regards to buy and leaving groups, etc. Because I put, as an admin of this group, and then what she did was I took screenshots of everything, right? And then you know what
Yeah.
she see after I had put the admin bit, she went back and edited her comment to me. So then I have then put on the thread, blah blah blah, whatever her name is. Why did you edit your initial reply to me? Is it because you discovered that I'm an admin in this group? So then I wake up this morning to about 20 DMs for people who are like my Facebook friends who are in this group and have obviously the notification saying, well, Marion Kirk has commented on this in this group. And if you know me, you know that I never comment in Facebook groups. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I had about 20 DMs this morning saying, I've seen you commenting that. Is everything okay? Because obviously people haven't seen her original comment. They've just seen me saying, why did you edit your comment? Right. So they're all wanting to know the tea, basically. So I had told you that this morning, but that's just another example of Mars ingressing into Leo and
Right.
you know, how it can flare up anger, you know, and it can be like very much what's normally like people are making like mountains out of molehills,
Yeah.
you know, so that are people are being directly and deliberately confrontational, and
Right.
that's
Yeah.
that's causing it, you know.
That's the way it felt, and you know, in my situation as well. It just felt like people were going out their way to, you know,
Yeah,
like goad people on, kind of a thing.
yeah.
Now, Mars and Leo, in fact,
Mhm,
yeah, I've just found it. So that's the Seven of Wands is Mars and Leo, isn't
mhm,
it?
mhm.
So is that, I mean, do you, obviously you're an astrologer and you're a tarot reader. I know that you've told me that when you read the off, you use the astrological decans, is that right?
I use them with Waite-Smith as well.
Right, okay. So you do kind of a lean into that a fair bit then?
I made this for people. So it's like, remember in the summertime, I did a talk at Tabby in Manchester. So that
Yeah,
was what my presentation was about, and it was like finding your tarot decking for your birthday. So the placement of where your sun is. So what
yeah,
that corresponds to that, and how that's affected your life, or what impact that's had in your life. But the actual like correspondences, I just use that as part of my tarot practice, is how I read cards. You know, and
yeah,
it's one of the things where if you look at a card, you know, when if you're reading for somebody and you're doing a spread and a card comes up and you don't really necessarily understand it. It's like the kind of the kind of oddball card. You know, all the cards seem to flow together, but all of a sudden you've got this one card and you're like, what the foof? You know, why
mhm,
is that there? And 9 times out of 10, that's the card that the client will zoom in on, you know, and they'll be like, "Oh, what's that card about?" Or "What does that mean?" And what I find is, what in my personal experience is, when you know the decanic correspondences,
yeah,
then you speak to the person. So it's usually like it can be that the card relates to their situation. So for instance, like you saying, like if the Seven of Wands come up, Mars and Leo, you know, but then all of a sudden there's like all the other cards are really like nice and they're kind of complimentary, and but you know, you suddenly get this bit of conflict and this tension, you know,
yeah,
so where's that, say like a relationship reading or something, you know, it can be, well, you know how that silly wee bit of kind of bickering that you do with your
yeah,
partner, you know, and it's like it doesn't necessarily need to be this aggressive conflict, you know, it can be like there's some couples who that's their love language. You know, it's like, you know, you ever met the couples, you know, and it's like they just bicker,
yep,
but that's how
definitely.
connection, you know what I mean? And that's part of it. Um, so you know, there's so many different levels, but being know for me personally, being knowing the correspondences, etc., it just adds that other layer to my reading technique.
Yeah. I must admit, I do find them really useful, and I use them mainly if I'm reading timing. Do you know what I
Mhm,
mean? Like if
mhm,
I'm looking to see when, or you know, if someone's asking about their career, then we can look and see when you know, when is there going to be shifts, and
mhm,
that I really use the decans for that, and for that purpose, I've got a copy of the Wiser Tarot where I've actually gone through it and written all the decans on it.
mhm,
Um, But and it's funny, I don't know if Deanne's still here, but she'll back me up. Like a few years ago, I was having a conversation with Deanne, and I was saying, you know, I was basically being like Goldilocks. I was looking for the perfect tarot deck. I wanted it to be the perfect size. I wanted it to be the perfect card stock because I like to fan my cards out and pick. You know, particularly when I'm reading timing, I fan them out and I pick at random. Um, Oh, Tom from Early Rituals here. Congrats on the successful launch. It's moving along. It sure is. You're over halfway now, by the way. Can I just put that out there? Um, Yeah, you're just over halfway. It needed it needed to be good for riffle shuffling. So it needed to have that perfect card stock where I could riffle shuffle it, which lots of decks don't.
No.
And I wanted it to be like Waite-Smith style images. And I was like, there's no perfect one. I was like, every deck I find, there's something that it's missing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I've recently found the Astro Matrix Tarot, which ticks all the boxes. So it's got the deckings.
I've seen your walkthrough of that. No, your walkthrough, or was it your birthday haul or something? One of the videos that you did. I mentioned
I was live with Brian. Brian from. So you would have seen me on Ange's channel, who's just popped in actually. Ange from Roots and Way. What's that? Sorry.
Was it at the weekend?
Yeah, it was. I think it was on Saturday or something. So yeah, that's where I was talking about it. But yeah, it's amazing, and it's got the deckings on it. I've got a real problem with going off on tangents, by the way. I feel as though it's getting worse as I get older.
It does.
The other thing I was saying, so I use it for timing, but I also use it I found that, see if you're you pull a spread and let's say it's just 3 cards and you're like, this feels a wee bit disjointed or something, and then you notice that it's for example, Mercury and this, Mercury and that, Mercury and that. You're like, whoa, do you know what I mean? You're like, right, okay, well clearly this has got something to do with you zooming about like Blue Earth Fly or communication or something. Do you know what I mean? And that adds an extra layer. And sometimes it just takes something like that to be like, right, okay, I know what it is. So I'm finding them more and more helpful as kind of a time goes on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
the amazing books. I don't know if you've got it. Oh God, I'm going to break my Jenga tower. I have a Jenga tower cards.
Jenga.
See this book. Right. If you want to know and understand the kind of no science, but it's Susie Chang. She's amazing. Is this my?
That is a massive book.
It's huge.
It's an absolute volume.
And it's signed, so it is. Because I got it at StarCon this year. So she says, "For Marion, full of strength, Susie." Because she came to my StarCon presentation.
Right, yeah.
You know that way it's like, oh God, right, stay. It's like I won't stay. She came to my StarCon presentation and it was totally nuts because I'm such a huge fan of Susie, and it's like you're preparing for your presentation and you're up at the lectern and you're just hoping and praying that the IT goes fine and everything, and there's people coming in and settling down and that, and it was like I looked up and there was Susie sitting poised with her pen and her notebook, and I'm like, oh fuck. The stuff that I was talking about was she's written books about it, and I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my God. And she came up to me afterwards and she was like, I so enjoyed that, Marion. It's like, but Susie's books are very clinical. So, it's very fact based. But if you want to kind of really dive in and you'll actually love it with your mathematical brain, because it's all charts, and it's like Susie has got a spreadsheet. Susie keeps her card of the day draws on spreadsheets. And she's done it for she's got about 5 years worth of data. And it's nuts. Joe, yes, and actually, Susie, I'm sure if I remember, she is a Virgo. But so her and Emmeline, they did a book together. The second book of that, they did it together. But they also had a podcast called Fortune's Wheelhouse.
Right, okay.
And it's finished now, but they've left it up. So see if you go and look through it, and they've went through every single deck, every single
Right.
card in the tarot.
Fortune's Wheelhouse.
Fortune's Wheelhouse.
Right, that's going to be my next however long of listening.
Yep. And it's like each episode is like something like 2 to 3 hours long, and they go right into like the ancient Greek magic here, and it's incredible. I mean, honestly, the anthology work, and it's like about I used to listen. See, when I worked in the city centre of Glasgow, I used to listen to it in the train. Before I went to work, and like when I was coming back through work, and it's exhaustive in each card. The Waitsmith and the Thoth, it's amazing. I highly recommend that. But if you really want to dive deep, she goes into like the Orphic hymns and like the magic. It is. I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah.
And so Susie came to my talk, and I was just like, oh my god! So I get that book off her. So it was really nice, and I carried it for Florida.
It's funny when you were saying, oh, if you want to learn about it, you should read this book. I was going to make a joke and say, nah, Marion, I just want you to tell me about it. Just you do a wee podcast and just talk to me and teach me. But if Susie's already done it, then that's it.
Don't worry, it's so it's so in depth, and it's really, and it's not really intimidating, I think because of the podcast, there's nothing that you really have to, and I've known Susie for years. We kind of came up through certain like groups together, and like I remember like when Susie was just like a card slinger like in a Facebook, pardon me, in a Facebook group, and she started making deck cases, like cases to hold your tarot decks, and the only way I could I've not got one handy, but they're like they open them up and they are like like a cigarette packet.
Ah, yeah.
See if you imagine a cigarette packet only to put your cards in.
Yeah.
That's essentially what her like deck bags are like. And
Right.
I remember like buying some of them like way back in the day. I remember she's in the East Coast of the States, and I remember the cost of the postage and the customs was about 3 times the price of the actual like case. And
I can imagine.
and then it was like when we met like a couple of years ago at StarCon, and she had like heard of my stuff and whatever, and like heard of me, and I was just like total fangirl, and do you know what I mean? I was like, oh my god, Susie, I just think you're incredible. And then when she heard my accent, she was like, Marion, I was like, she goes, are you the Marion that used to buy my Arcana cases and pay an absolute fortune in customs and postage? And I'm like, that's me. She was like, oh my god, and it was lovely.
That's funny, and that is really nice that she remembers that. So as that's the nice thing about indie creators is that they do tend to remember stuff like that.
Yep,
that's so sweet.
She's fab.
Yeah, you meet so many amazing people at StarCon. I think I'm going to have to, like, I don't know, come along next time and be your bag boy or something. Think they'd let me in?
They will. They will. You can be my assistant. You can be my emotional support Scorpio.
Well, I'm already that, so
exactly. Well, so I can't possibly travel transatlantic without you. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you up to the last weekend in January next year?
Don't know, actually.
Are you available?
Is that when it is? Is it in January?
Aye. Mm-hmm.
No, I think I'm doing anything.
Good. Wait, I'll tell you the exact dates. Oh my god, right, okay, my notifications are scary. Whoo, whoo, whoo.
Okay, put it down. You can tell me later. Don't look.
No, it's fine. I'm going on to Google to see the exact dates. I don't know the exact dates. The 24th, 25th, and 26th of January.
Right. Is that a weekend?
Aye. It's like, so what I do is I fly there on the Wednesday, then acclimatise on the Thursday. I am doing a 3.5 hour intensive, presenting a 3.5 hour intensive in the Friday.
Holy fuck. I'm
Aye.
going to need an emotional sports car pool to be your emotional sports car pool for that.
So essentially what we're going to be doing is, right, by the way, I have not written this at all.
Right.
I have done the cover for the handout. That is as much as I have done for that.
Right.
It's split up, so it's like we do like 45-minute chunks.
Right, okay.
Right, so it's no, you're not going to be sitting there with like a numb arse, do you know what I mean? And like your bum cheeks like having to move, like, when you go to a long film in the cinema, it's not going to be one of them. It's split up. So what we're going to do is we're going to be doing the deckings.
Right.
So it's going to be the first presentation is really like a presentation that I have done before, where people are discovering what card represents their sun sign.
Okay. Got you.
And then essentially what the other parts of it are going to be is we're going to be building our entire astrology chart
Right.
with what cards correspond to what placements. And
Right.
what I do is, like, a methodology that I use is, how like you're saying, like I don't like the Eight of Cups is like Saturn and Pisces.
Right.
Right. So I take that away. I take away the Saturn and Pisces bit. So I don't include that. And we just look at the actual card for the placement. And because we do that, we can then use that system for any placement that you have in your birth chart, because the deckings only take into consideration the traditional planets.
Yeah.
They don't talk about Uranus or Neptune or Pluto. They don't
Right.
talk
Okay.
about any of the asteroids. They don't talk about the North Node or the South Node.
Yeah.
So by taking away the correspondences, the planetary correspondences, and just using it a bit more basic, but by using it in a bit more basic way, we can get so much more out of it.
Right. Okay.
Because we can use that card. So it's like, if you have got, say, for instance, 3 planets in a particular 10 degrees, and say that 10 degrees it corresponds to the 10 of swords.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you've got Neptune and Gemini. Well, you probably wouldn't have Neptune, but anyway, I'm getting 2. But it's like, if you have got Mars and Leo, you've got Mars and Leo, but you've also got Venus in Leo, and you've got Mercury in Leo, so you've got 3 your inner planets.
Yeah.
And they're all represented by that particular card. So just say it is the 7 of Wands, because like these 3 would be in the last 10 degrees of Leo. So how has that affected your life?
Right. I've got you.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
how much conflict are you having in your life? So you've got, and then like it corresponds to the planet. So you've got Mercury with the Seven of Wands. So are you constantly verbally arguing with people? Is your method of communication combative?
Yeah.
Then it's like your Venus. So that's how you love. What's your relationship type like with other people? Do you attract like maybe abusive partners, or have you maybe been like verbally abusive in relationships, etc., etc.? So
Yeah.
so it's all that kind of thing.
Yeah. You're making me want to get out my chart and start looking to see, because I'm sure I think my Mercury, don't quote me right, but I think my Mercury and my Venus are both in Libra. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's where they both are. But I love shit like this, can I just say? And I also say, and this is a wee shout out as well. Your talk at the UK Tarot conference was so interesting. It was interesting. I think everyone in the room enjoyed it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it because you were talking about like it was like ages. As the what did you call it? The Saturnal. Remind me what it
It was based on annual perfections.
That's the word I'm looking for, the perfections. And you're looking to see like where, so the conference was themed on Saturn, so it was all about your what ages you are for when was it the Saturn perfections, or I'm not sure you can tell I don't know much to use, but
so I called the talk the Saturn years. And what it is it was like, so it was a general rule of thumb. Every individual, like most things in astrology, everybody has an individual journey with it. But because I was trying to make it like, is experiential for everybody, I went for like just using the ages as in like a kind of a how the zodiac works, how the zodiacal wheel, the order of the zodiacal wheel. So when it came to your 10th and 11th houses, traditionally that's the placement, that's where Saturn hangs out. But for an actual individual, it's different, But the rule of thumb is, and like what I was talking about, it seems to be a universal thing, the ages of people or situations. That's when a lot of it happens.
Yeah.
As I said in the presentation, I did do a bit of research with the statistics, of people, and what I've found is, people who have like they've maybe commented and they've came to me and they've says, well, Marion, I looked at the ages didn't resonate with me in my life, but when I looked at the chart for my actual ascendant, because it's always based in your ascendant, they found the Saturn years, their own personal Saturn years, and then relayed that onto their life, then
it made sense.
It made sense.
It did for me, by the way. I did that. I found mine because I'm a Taurus ascendant, so I found mine, and the one that stands out that I was really like, wow, this is good shit. My Venus, one of my Venus years is 24, and I was 24 when I met my husband. So I was. So that's what I mean. Like, I love stuff like that. Like, see if you put numbers in with divination, I'm a happy guy. So I loved your talk. I thought it was brilliant, even though I can't remember any of the words. Because I can remember numbers, but I'm shit at remembering like the proper words for things.
It's fine. You should have been me. I was just up there. I was like, oh shit! I was just like,
I think I didn't notice it. It's the way it seemed to me was like it was really good because you were pausing, but it was like really good because it let people take in what you were saying. So it was like, and that's what the best speakers do. So as they give time for the impact of the words. See if you get people who do talks and it's just like firing loads and loads of information at you. Do you know what I mean? And that's fine. Look, that's good for you. You're showing that you know what you're talking about. but you're not showing that you can connect with an audience and you can actually relay information. That's a totally different skill. And I think that you did it so well. So I genuinely meant, when I messaged you at the time and said, I've just watched that, it was amazing, I meant it. I thought it was really good and really impactful. So yeah, I absolutely loved it. So I did. So yeah, I really, I find all that stuff so interesting. And how did we go to talk about that? Because we were talking about the Decans, and you're talking about your what you're doing for StarCon. So that sounds amazing. I've kind of done that from a point of view of, I've looked at like, right, where, what planet is where. So like, I think it's Venus and Libra. So I'll find the tarot cards, because not all of the thingies have got a tarot card for that. Do you know what I mean? But I'll go and find the tarot cards that I've got, like, whatever it is that they've got, and see, what ones I have that actually sit. And I did have a fair few, which was quite cool. But it sounds like you're doing something a bit different, where you can actually find a card for each of the planetary alignments in your chart. So definitely sounds so good.
Because it's it's like one of my things is like, whether I'm teaching or whether I'm like presenting or whatever, and I think it's just fundamentally me, where I have this kind of a like thing where it's like, keep it simple.
Yep.
And it's like, that's how like I tend to teach, because it's like, I'll take something that's quite complicated and I will reverse engineer it and say, right, let's make this approachable for people. If somebody is, like, if they maybe say, oh no, I don't understand astrology because it's all numbers and it's all maths and it's angles and it's degrees and this scares me. And that's how, like, one of my main things is like, well, let's teach tarot readers astrology through tarot, because tarot readers know tarot and they understand the meanings of cards. So, for instance, like you were saying, like Mars and Leo, well, what does the Seven of Wands mean to you?
Yeah.
A tarot reader, but oh well, it can be conflict and it can be this and it can be that. And I'm like, right, okay, so that's the same. So Mars is the god of war, it's the planet of conflict, it's in Leo, Leo's a fire sign, and then when you describe it like that, they're very much like, I see. And I'm like, so let's take away all the angles and the degrees and everything. Let's just put that, to the side.
Yeah.
Because that's like the background stuff. That's the stuff that an astrologer needs to know. But if I'm doing a consultation with somebody, I don't turn around and basically give them a vocabulary lesson. An astrological vocabulary lesson. So that's essentially, like, kind of what my kind of ethos is, and it makes people less intimidated.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Another thing that's quite interesting to do, so the example you used was Mars and Leo. So obviously you get the majors as well. So the tower corresponds to Mars, and then strength corresponds to Leo. So you can look at it and think, right, okay, well, if the tower and the strength card were to have a conversation, or if the tower was to show up, and you can look at it that way, and it brings a whole different kind of a layer into it, which is quite cool. And I find can be helpful. It can sometimes be confusing. I find Saturn being the world can cause a wee bit of confusion sometimes, but I do think that it can be really interesting to think about it from that point of view.
Right, so do you want me to explain the Saturn and the world correspondence?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so in ancient and Hellenistic astrology, right, before the modern planets were discovered, Saturn was the last planet in the solar system.
Yep.
Right? Saturn was, and then it was like the original astrology wheel. The first sign was not Aries.
Okay.
It was Cancer.
Right, okay.
Because it was the moon, so it was Cancer and Leo. They were the first two signs because they were closest to Earth.
Right, okay.
If you look up the Thema Mundi,
Thema
this
Mundi.
is what it is, right? So it's like, and then it would be like, so like Cancer and Leo's here, and that would be the sun and the moon. And then next to them is, oh, hold on, testing me, right? So the next two signs, I'm just going to say the next two signs, right? They're ruled by Mercury because it's Gemini and Virgo. And then it moves around the wheel to that point. And then when you get to the furthest away point from Cancer and Leo, it's Capricorn and Aquarius. And
Right.
traditionally, they're both ruled by Saturn because they're furthest away
Right, okay.
from the sun and the moon placements. So that's why Saturn is the world.
Right, yeah. I can kind of like, so I can kind of make sense of it in my own way, and I actually bring in a wee bit of maths to it, because, so to me, right, Saturn, Cronus, Old Father Time, his sentence was to basically keep walking and just count time.
Yeah.
So he represents the limit, the infinite limit, or and in maths, when you have like kind of a like infinite curves and stuff, so like kind of exponential curves, you can have curves that never, they're ongoing and they're always increasing, but they tend to a limit that they never reach, but you define them through the limit. To me, the world, it represents this thing that this ultimate completion, this full fulfillment, that really we're all, it's like world peace. We're all working towards it. Do you know what I mean?
Are we?
Whether we're ever going to actually get there, it's like this limit that we can get closer and closer to, but we'll never touch. To me, that's that the world card represents that. Do you know what I mean? It's the ultimate goal. It's like the perfection that we know we're never going to get perfection, but we can damn well aim for it. Do you know what I mean? So that's how that works. That how I kind of make that make sense, if you know what I mean.
But if you
So,
think of the world card as a portal,
yeah,
and then Saturn's there to guide you through the portal to see what's beyond what you can see as a limit. So if he's limitless, then he takes you on to the next stage of the journey that you're unable to see.
yeah, definitely. I love this kind of stuff. I'm such a nerd, so I love nerding out about this kind of stuff.
It's funny because it's like I had this really weird thing at school, right? So when I was at school, like we did standard grades, right? And so you know how did you do standard grades or are you too young?
No,
You
I
done
was standing good, yeah.
right. Okay, so you know how you had your foundation, you had your general, and you had your credit, right? So in maths, it was maths in particular, I always did much better in my credit tests than what I did
In your general.
in my general. And my standard grade teacher, I still remember Mrs. Dockery, she was amazing. She understood my attitude problem and she knew how to get the best out of me. She understood me. I was a very Marmite school pupil. They either loved me or they despised the ground I walked on. She liked me. And she said that to me, she would mark my tests and that, and she was like, What goes through your mind? And I'm like, what do you mean? And she was like, you literally cannot accept that the question in the general test is just the question. She's like, you overcomplicate it. She's like, you're like you follow your working out and you get just to within an inch of the answer, and then you just go somewhere and you just put all this stuff and I did, and it's like one of the things that I do, and it's like even in my kind of working career, it's like the really complex stuff I was
Yeah.
good at. But it was like when I had jobs like a job that I had once I had like took my voluntary redundancy, I worked for a call centre. Basically where people go to die career-wise, right? I ended up in a place. And my boss was like, I actually had to write a fake CV, a dumbed down CV in order to get an interview for this company.
Right.
So I went to the interview and passed the interview, no problem. And I was on the phones and I had to follow a script.
Right.
And I couldn't follow a script. And my boss was saying to me, he'd be like, I know you're the most intelligent person in this department, including the person who's in charge of all is. I know you could buy and sell her at that corner out there, but why the hell can you not follow a script? You just need to read what's on the page. He's like, you don't think. And I'm like, that's the problem. I think. I have a brain. And he's like, your performance is absolutely shit. I'm gonna need to sack you. And I'm like, oh, don't sack me. I like coming here. He's like, you like this? I'm like, because at the time, I was like, because I had my redundancy money in the bank, I wasn't financially dependent in this job.
Yeah.
And he's like, you like coming here? I'm like, oh, it's highly entertaining. Just watching. I feel like I'm in like a scientific lab, like watching rats. Like it was like, I don't know how to take that. And I was like, it's all right. I'm not talking to you. So he gave me, I was like, John, please don't sack me. And he was like, right, okay. Here's an application form. There's a manager's job coming up. He's like, you're not going to get it, because you need to have been here for at least 4 years and you have to have went through the manager program. And I'm
Right.
like, all right, okay. So for that particular job, I used my real CV. And
Right.
I got the job.
Good for you.
It was great. And everybody would literally cry to be on my team. They loved being in my team. But the point was, it was like all the complicated stuff when you gave like like when like the boss's boss was like, right, Marion, this is the training, this is what you need to do, blah blah blah. I absolutely excelled at it, but I couldn't read a script.
Yeah.
It's like don't ask me to do something simple,
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I'm an overcomplicator.
Aye. So please go and look at Starcom. Starcon.
Starcom.
Uh-huh. No guidebook samples anywhere. What's this? Oh, hold on, I'm gonna. Aye, very good. Sorry, I'm forgetting we're live on the internet there.
That's all right. That's fine.
I nearly forgot.
Let me say a quick hi. Actually, we should probably wrap up soon. I don't want to keep you too long, Marion.
I'm fine. I'll be up
Karen,
in 48 hours.
Karen's here, Brian's here. That's who I was talking about. Brian from Flushing Their Tarot. So it was me, Brian, Tom from Early Ritual, who's also here.
Oh, is he? Hello.
Tom. And Ange from, where are you, Ange? There you are, Roots and Waves. There was the 4 of us that were live on Saturday
Yes.
that we were talking about earlier on. So hi to all you folks. Let me see, do I need to say hi to anyone else? Has anyone else popped in? Saw someone called Joe who was here, but then had to go.
But thank you so much, everybody. I think it's just like I can't believe it. Folk actually come and listen to the shit that I say. To be quite honest, I really don't. It surprises me constantly.
What was I going to say there? So I'm looking up. You've given me so much to go away and find now. So I'm looking up Starcon. I'm looking up Susie's podcast.
Uh-huh.
Can
I just say StarCon is the most important one?
Okay. I'll as soon as we're off, I'll go and I'll look it up.
Mm-hmm. Aye.
At once, miss.
You get a discount in the hotel.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Okay. I'll check it out.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
End of January.
Yes. And it'll be such fun. So you'll get to meet loads of famous tarot people.
I know, that would be cool. Really cool. It'd be really nerve-wracking, though. I get really nervous in situations like that.
You're with me. Don't worry. I'm like, I'm like your big sister. Don't worry. It's fine. I'm one of the keynote speakers. It's like, hi. Who else? So have you heard the Cardsley Bee?
Say that again, sorry.
Have you heard the Cardsley Bee?
Oh, Cardsley Bee.
Cardsley Bee.
I've probably heard of them, but
well, she's on Instagram and she's got like loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of followers.
Right.
She's really nice. She does like daily card readings. And she's got a Pomeranian called Lola. And sometimes Lola does the cards. And it's the cutest thing. So anyway, she is coming this year to be like the kind of a like headliner speakers.
Oh, okay.
And she's just such an interesting journey in her life. She was like one of the kind of like worked in, I think she worked in fashion. She worked in fashion or something. And she does very kind of a like vacuous existence. And then she's wrote a book about like how she just discovered like this part of herself and really just kind of turned her life round about. So she's good. So she's there, and then get Madam Adam. He usually comes along.
Right. Is Cardsley Bee's name Rebecca?
I think so. She's got long blonde hair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I'm following her. I'm going to check it out.
Yep. It's really nice. And the reason she's coming is because of me. So I'm kind of a like the unofficial like quote unquote talent scout for StarCon.
I feel like you unofficially do that for a lot of different things. I feel like if you're in with Marion, then you're sorted. That's certainly the experience that I've had.
Are you suggesting that I'm some kind of like tarot godmother type thing, like the mafia style like tarot, like like a godfather? It's like I'll make you an offer you can't refuse.
You've got a particular set of skills.
Thank you so much. It's my Jupiter and Scorpio.
Oh, you get Jupiter and Scorpio.
And my 12th house.
Right. Okay.
I know all the secrets. Secrets. No, so I was at the London Book Fair earlier this year, and visiting my friend Laurie, who will also be at StarCon. She is the head of she's the head of sales director for Wiser Books, and it was actually Laurie. See your Wiser Tarot. It was Laurie who insisted, and that was the cardstock. So she insisted on that cardstock for that deck.
Right. No, she's done a good job because it is damn good cardstock. So it is.
Aye, she knows her shit. So I was visiting. She was over for the States, like for London, and I was like, right, I did a crazy. Let's go up and down to London in one day, to visit her and go around London Book Fair, and which is huge. It's at the Olympia. And it's a trade event, so it's publishers from all over the world, and it's just massive. And it's not just like Tarot Academy; it's like all publishing,
Right. Yeah.
So one of the keynote speakers was Richard Osmond.
Right.
It was in Pointless.
Yeah.
And he's so tall.
Yeah.
He's like, because I walked past him, I kind of bumped into him accidentally, and he looked down, and I was like, he's like, I'm so sorry, and I was like, I've never felt this short before. And he started laughing. He was like, usually people comment on my height, and I was like, no, I've never felt this short. So you know me, I make a pal wherever I go. So anyway, so Cards of Bees publishers, they were across from Wiser, and I was sitting at the Wiser booth, and the lady seen me looking at a tarot deck, and she came up, she started talking to me. She's like, "Oh, do you know Rebecca?" Blah blah blah, and I was like, "Oh, I've heard they are in that." And so I had said to Christiana, "Look, it'd be quite a good, like speaker if you could get her." So Christiana went through the publisher and says, "Oh, you met my colleague Marion at the London Book Fair, and so Rebecca is going to be one of the keynote speakers."
Amazing. That'll be cool.
So this is year 5, because it started in the pandemic, which wasn't meant to happen like that, and like when Christiana asked me to speak, I'm like, Florida. I'm like, I will burst into flames. I need to wear factor 50 in Scotland. And she was like, what are the summer temperatures in Scotland? What's the average temperature in Scotland in the summer? And I told her. And it just so happened that the temperatures are Florida's temperatures in January.
January, right, okay.
So that was one of the key reasons why Christiana holds StarCon in January, because of me.
Because of you and your ginger Scottish skin.
Aye, my ginger jean carrier. My peely walliness. So it'd be so cool if he came. Everybody, because Anthony's coming this year, Anthony Perotta.
Right.
My absolute darling astrologer, he's going to be there.
Right, okay. Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
Yep. Maria, obviously, Taurus twin Maria, she's going to be there.
Right.
Camille, and honestly, I would just be like, oh look, I've brought a friend. It'd be so cool.
Okay. I'll definitely check it out. It's the first thing I'm going to do when we finish up.
Yay! Right, we better go.
Right, that's true. It's best. Go and do it. Do it now.
I need to go and get a cup of tea and.
Aye, I'm the same. I'm going to go make a cup. I've had a wee canny iron brew whilst I've been live, so enjoyed that. Going to go make a wee cuppa and maybe get some toast and go sit in my bed and watch something. That's the plan.
Do you ever watch your videos back? Because I don't.
Nope.
I watch them.
Absolutely, under no circumstances will you ever catch me doing that.
See, neither do I. It's like when I create a video, like obviously, like my content is basically readings, and people be like, "Oh, see when you said that in such and such a video," but
yeah,
did I? All right, okay, all right. I started to sit there and do the reading and basically talk to myself.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I've no watched it back. But there's some people that do.
Oh no, I couldn't. It's probably a good habit to be in if you're like proper serious about making, about critiquing yourself and being better and all that. You need to watch yourself and see. Because I know I did pick up that when I record videos, I say is it that I said a lot. Anyway, whatever it was when I was editing, I noticed that I was doing it, and I started off trying to take out all the ums, and then I was like, no, this is just ridiculous. So now I make a conscious effort not to do that. So it's probably a good habit to be in, but I just can't. See, like it's funny you say this, right? Because YouTube's doing a funny thing just now where, so see how the last video, or not the last one, not the one I filmed today, but the one I filmed a couple of days ago about my extras, the wee extra cards that I get.
Yes.
So that YouTube's doing something funny where it's not telling me the proper number of views. So it is. So it's telling me something, one thing on YouTube, one thing on YouTube Studio, another thing, depending on how I go into it. So I was having to go into and actually click on the video to go in and see how many views it had. But Marion, I was like, I'd click in it and then I'd be like, pause, quickly before I start hearing my irritating voice. So
see, I need to do that because what I'll do is I will pin, like, see, like my video description and like a link to my website to book a reading. So I will pin that as the first comment. So I'm the same. It's like I'll click on it, but it's like I immediately go to pause, and it's like I've got my mouse hovering over the pause button, so I don't have to hear my sing-songy voice.
It's funny, isn't it? Do you want to pull a card before we go?
Yeah. I've got the deck.
Right. Are you comfortable pulling a card from it, or would you rather do it from something different?
No, we'll pull it for a tarot.
Okay, that's fine.
But I've made enough people cry. So I'd be making everybody else cry. So my deck of the week is Zeke's Arcana.
That's the deck that you read for me with when we went live together and we read for each other.
So it was. Yeah. So it was really interesting. My card of the day today was the Two of Wands.
Oh, nice. Mars and Aries.
Yes.
And the Mars energy.
How wonderful. It's like the very first decking card for the day that I'm launching this Kickstarter. This like totally new thing. The beginning of a totally new adventure.
What is the card? Is it the Six of Cups?
Which means?
Oh, sorry. You mean the Two of Wands that you pulled?
Yes, for the very beginning of the Zodiac and the Mechanic Journey. No, today's this period of time in the calendar is the Six of Cups.
Yeah, you're right. Cool. Yeah, the reason I know that is because I'm the Five of Cups is my birth decking. I'm just in that first one. So like my major is death, and then I get the Five of Cups. So I'm just a wee depresso apparently. When you look at what my deckings are.
Pretty much every Scorpio that I know are in that first 10 degrees.
Oh, really?
They're all Five of Cups.
Right.
So yeah, so it's like it's really interesting. Right, so we'll pull a card.
I've got one here. But I'll let you pull yours and then you can decide who's to go first.
You go first.
Oh, okay. So I have pulled, let's see if I can still switch over to the overhead camera. Yeah. I've pulled the Page of Cups for us. And the Page of Cups is a wee mer person under the sea. Kind of puts me in mind of like Ariel from The Little Mermaid, where all our wee trinkets and precious things that she collects, and that is total Page of Cups energy. That being totally enamored and like just, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing, and it's like a fork, and she's not even using it as a fork. It's like she's using it as a hairbrush and calling it a dingo hopper. Do you know what I mean? It's total like just the innocence of it and the sweetness of it, and that's the energy that we take into the weekend. Look for the small things, the small opportunities that the weekend's going to present at you, and it's really just a moment to pause and appreciate how amazing the small things can be. Life is made up of a bunch of small things, really. Sure, we all have our big events, but see, without those small things to keep us going, life would probably be a lot more difficult. There's a wee bit of like, maybe sometimes we need to watch that we're not being too naive with the Page of Cups. So by all means, keep your wits about you, and we've all kind of over the years we've all learned to develop that sensible head. but this weekend we've all got permission just to be a wee bit silly, a wee bit innocent, and just enjoy the small things that life throws at us.
Well, to completely counteract that,
Gosh. What have we got?
we've got the King of Swords.
Oh.
So it's like Mr. The King of Swords always reminds me of like the fun police. You know, it's like here, it's like, no, you are having too much of a good time, and I'm just going to put the, you know, like a kind of a spoke in the wheel, if you like, and with my critical thinking. That's what's coming through to me. So over the weekend time, it's like if you are, like Chris is suggesting, being like that Page of Cups and having a bit of fun and being a bit kind of a loose, etc., and just enjoying yourself, well, try and have fun, but also have critical thinking behind that fun. You know, it's like, it's almost like, yeah, it's fine to take a risk and to take a chance in things, but at the same time, you know, make it a calculated risk as opposed to just having blind faith in things.
Yeah.
So that's what I would suggest for that.
It's funny, you can get some more opposite energies, could you?
Exactly. You know, it's totally, it's like, and also if you meet an Aquarius, just say, oh, aye, that's nice, thanks. You know, because all Aquarius and Aquarius placements are about to get hammered for the next 20 years.
Yeah. With Pluto moving into it.
Aye. But it's fine because, you know, like the fixed signs, we're going to get it in opposition and squared to us, and, you know, it's like Taurus and Scorpio, we're going to get it squared, and Leo's going to get it opposed, and aye.
Right. Well, I'm a...
So your three placements are fucked.
I've Scorpio Sun, Leo Moon, Taurus Rising, and my mum is an Aquarius, so she is. So yeah, interesting.
The fixed signs we're not getting a light up, I'm afraid, but it'll be fine. We will be fine.
We will. Amazing. Well, Marion, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for talking to us about your amazing creation, the Grief Journey Oracle, which again, I'll say for the last time on this, I have pinned it in the comments. Please, anyone who's still watching, have a wee look, consider backing it. It is an absolute work of genius and of beauty. My audio just did something funny there. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being my emotional support, Taurus. The roles reversed tonight. So this has been great. I've thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you. Is there anything you've got coming up, Marion, that you just want to tell people about?
Other than this crazy campaign that I'm now on for the next 29 years. 29 years? No, 29 days. 9 years? No. And StarCon. I do have an online conference at the end of November for the WDA. I will be online. Their annual Big Bang conference online. I am going to be doing something yet to be decided.
Right.
Because I forgot I said yes to do it, and I get the notification. I'm like, oh shit, I need to do something. All right, okay, no bother.
Well, you can let us know where we can kind of look at that and sign up to it and stuff.
It's the 28th and 29th or something of November. Let me just check my calendar. It 23rd and 24th of November, that weekend, and it's a WDA, so that's the World Divination Association. I'm not sure if tickets are on sale yet, but if anybody wants to go there, they can check it out.
Bro. Well, thank you again. Thanks to everyone who's been here with us and been chatting away with us. I'm sorry I've not been as attentive as I usually try and be with the chat, but I mean, I've had to here. So, like, how you, I'm sure you'll understand.
Yes.
But yeah, take care, everyone. Have an amazing weekend. Thanks very much for being here. I'll see you all later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.